Sony just dropped the price on the A7R II from $1,800 to $1,200. That's a $600 savings. So after you buy a couple spare batteries, you got a $500 budget to shop for a lens. Here's 5 Sony lenses under $500. Let's get into it. Hey everybody, welcome back. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Malcolm, and my channel is based around Sony photography equipment and photography in general. Today I'm going to tell you about 5 Sony full frame lenses under $500 that would be a perfect pairing for a new A7R II or any new Sony full frame camera for that matter. Sony's nifty 50, the 50mm 1.8, starts off our list being the most affordable lens in Sony's lineup. It can be regularly found on sale for $199.99 and even cheaper on the used market. Now this lens may only have one aspherical element, but it can still produce some amazing results. Now after owning several copies of this lens, I would say the 2 biggest drawbacks to this lens is a noisy autofocus system, and it has a weaker ability to grab focus in lower light situations. Now that being said, this lens is a great beginner lens. If you're starting out with photography or this is one of your first full frame cameras, this lens will give you an inexpensive route to f1.8. A lot of the faster lenses out there that shoot f1.8 are much more expensive than the $200 that this lens costs. The f1.8 on this lens gives you the ability to experiment with shallower depths of field and further grow in photography. The next lens I want to talk to you about is the Sony 28mm f2. What makes this lens so special in Sony's lineup, and is sometimes overlooked, is the fact that the 28mm can actually adapt 2 front-end converters. They offer a 21mm wide-angle converter as well as a 16mm fisheye adapter. Now I personally own the 28mm and the 16mm fisheye. I can say that while owning that lens, 90% of the time I had the fisheye installed on the lens, and that was my go-to for wide-angle landscape photography. This lens has 1 advanced aspherical lens, 2 aspherical lenses, and 2 ED glass elements. The Sony 28mm is regularly found at $450 and can be sometimes found as low as $300 in the used market. Now aside from that, this lens has the ability to adapt into 2 other lenses. It makes for a great option when you're on a budget and starting out with photography. The next lens is the Sony 28-70 variable aperture 3.5 5.6. The 28 to 70mm zoom lens features 3 aspherical elements and 1 ED glass element. It has a very nice build quality to it. The zoom ring and the focus ring feel very solid in this lens, and the overall feel of the lens on the camera is just the right size. It makes it an easy carry lens on the A7R II or any other full frame camera. One thing nice about a zoom lens when you start out is you can experiment with those different focal lengths and you're not locked in on one focal length. Now I personally wouldn't buy this lens new just because you can find them fairly inexpensive on the used market. A lot of times what happens is people will buy the kit camera because that's the only thing they had available, and they'll just sell the lens. Now the kit market price on this lens was $200 from the standard body only price. This basically prices this lens around $200. Now personally I think that's the most you'll ever want to pay for this lens. And generally on the used market, this lens will be in really good condition because it doesn't get used much. So don't overlook the 28-70. Full disclosure, these last 2 lenses I've never personally owned, but I do know about them and they're under the $500 mark. So the next lens is another 50mm. It's the 50mm f2.8 macro lens. Now this is currently one of 3 macro lenses Sony offers. A 30mm APS-C macro lens, there's this lens at 50mm, and then Sony's G series lens, the 90mm macro. The 50mm 2.8 is Sony's most affordable macro lens for the full frame lineup. Coming in at $499, it offers a true 1-to-1 macro magnification ability. 50mm macro lens offers 1 aspherical element and 1 ED element. Now being at the top of the budget at $500, this lens would be a good option to buy. It may not be the fast 1.8 like the nifty 50, but the 50mm 2.8 macro is several lenses in one. 50mm is a great lens for portrait work. So buying a 50mm gives you the ability to do portrait work. It's a macro lens, like is in the name. So you can do macro photography. There's a lot of different subjects and detail you can be done in macro photography that really opens up a wide range of photography. Even though it's at the top at $500, keep in mind this lens has multiple functions. Alright, so the final lens I want to talk to you today about is the new 28-60 retractable zoom lens from Sony. Now this lens came out with the A7C and is a kit lens offered in that camera. Now this lens is very similar to the popular 16 to 50 on the Sony APS-C lineup. The reason being is it retracts into itself to make for a much more compact carry lens, making this lens very easy to carry. Now, being that I haven't personally held or seen this lens, I'm not going to speak about its build quality or its function, but I will say that having a full frame camera and something small like that, I can definitely see a benefit, as I've owned the 16 to 50 on the APS-C cameras, and having the lens retract into itself and making it very small and portable just is that much easier to use. And when something's easier to use, you're going to use it more often. Now, even though this lens is at the top of our budget of $500, but it does offer 3 aspherical elements, it really is a true travel, hiking, or backpacking type lens. It's easy to throw in a bag, it's lightweight, and it'll give you a great focal range to work with while you're traveling. So if you just bought an A7R II, if you're getting a full frame camera, or even if you're still shooting an APS-C camera, these are 5 budget-friendly lenses that'll definitely get you shooting and getting you good results. Now, if you're an APS-C shooter, these lenses are fully functional on those cameras, and there's no reason why you can't buy a full frame lens now for your APS-C camera. So when you do make the jump to full frame, you're ready to go. Thanks for watching today, guys. I really appreciate you sticking out to the end. So if you like what you saw here today, hit that like button. And while you're down there, hit that subscribe button too. Be one of those under 1,000 subscribers as this channel continues to grow. Anyways, hope this video was helpful for you, and I'll see you in the next one. Talk to you later.